Okay, according to my records, today is Monday, August 10th. Yes, today is Monday, August 10th. Good morning. We have a great show here for you. The news headlines, the weather report, and today in history. This morning, we will re-air the interview that I did with Superintendent Kimberly Sheverhood discussing school reopening. As we all know that on Thursday, the school committee did get to vote on how they would like to proceed on that. So before we get to any of that, let's take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the morning show set. Stay with us. The news headlines and the weather report are up next. All right, good morning. We're going to start with this meeting that took place on Thursday last week. The Wareham School Committee unanimously voted on Thursday in favor of a phased reopening approach, starting with remote learning before the hybrid approach. More than 50 people protested outside the multi-service center in favor of an all-remote reopening. The superintendent of Wareham Public Schools, Dr. Kimberly Sheverhood, did recommend to move with a hybrid approach, a remote learning approach. And she did say that a hybrid, which is partially in-person learning approach, will occur likely no sooner than October 5th. However, that date could be postponed depending on the numbers on coronavirus. And Wareham High School, class of 2020, finally got to have their graduation on Saturday. Students, staff, and family all wore masks and socially distant. And National Grid crews are investigating a gas leak that smelled from Cranberry Highway to Onset Center. The smell was detected on Friday morning. Onset Fire Captain Jeff Diaz said he received a call from multiple commercial tenants at 3065 Cranberry Highway, home of Bob's Discount Homes store. The source of the leak is still unknown. The National Grid still is investigating the matter. Those who smell natural gas are urged to call 911. And Mayflower 2, the replica of the original Mayflower ship, heads home this morning to Plymouth after almost 3 years of extensive repairs. Here is a report from this weekend when the ship docked at Mass Maritime Academy. An incredible scene in Buzzards Bay this afternoon as Mayflower 2, the replica of the original Mayflower, docked at Mass Maritime Academy.
A little nervous when they started turning the thing around in the water, and then it's bobbing up and down, and they're trying to pull that close to the cement over there, but they did a very good job.
Fans and residents turned out to cheer the replica of the original Mayflower ship that brought the Pilgrims to America 400 years ago this year. The ship left New Bedford this morning, making its way to Mass Maritime Academy, the last stop before it sails home to Plymouth, following 3 years of extensive renovations.
My crew and I have been 3 years down in Mystic, Connecticut, working collaboratively with Mystic Seaport Museum, restoring the whole ship.
The original Mayflower was built in 1957 in England and was given as a gift of appreciation to America for its help and cooperation during World War II. The captain says about 70% of the replica is brand new.
So now we have the 1620 story of Mayflower. We have the 1957 story of Mayflower coming from England. And we have now the 2020 story of the whole restoration of the ship to tell as well.
This particular resident says he lives just a few blocks away in Plymouth to where Mayflower 2 will dock for good.
So I've seen the boat many times, and it was in bad shape. It got stuck on the bottom in the mud, and it rotted. So that's why they had to take it and replace everything on the bottom.
Any hurdles along the way, or everything just sailed smoothly?
So far, we spent 2 weeks down in New London, Connecticut, doing what we call sea trials and sail training for the crew. We have 27 people in the crew. And the 2 weeks of sea trials, that's after the restoration, making sure everything works, make sure it operates the way you want, and it has surpassed our wildest expectations.
The ship will be towed on Monday morning through the Cape Cod Canal and into the bay, making its way to Plymouth, expected to arrive there around noon time. And the captain also mentioned that in a week or so, with limited capacity, people will be able to tour the inside. Reporting here at Mass Maritime Academy, I am Queen Banda of WCTV.
And back again to this Queen Banda here in the studio. As mentioned, that the ship is taking off this morning through the Cape Cod Canal and into the bay, heading to Plymouth, and should be there around 3:30 this afternoon. This concludes this morning news headlines. We'll be right back with our weather report.
Social distancing and staying home are the best ways to limit the spread of COVID-19. But if you must go out, make sure you cover your face. You can use anything that covers your nose and mouth, including dust masks, scarves, and bandanas. But leave the surgical masks and N95s for healthcare workers. Remember, masks slow the spread when you must go out. But staying home and social distancing are the best ways to protect yourself and others. For more information, visit mass.gov/COVID-19.
Okay, a mixture of sun and clouds today and throughout the week, with temperatures reaching the lower 80s, 85 degrees today. There is still a small chance of rain. Rain should be here on Thursday, accompanied by thunderstorms. So watch out. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the days coming next. That concludes this morning and this weather, and this week's weather forecast. We'll be right back with more.
Welcome to day 11 of Tales from West Gardner, Maine. It's still snowing out there. This is a weird March, April time frame. Anyway, we're all out here being good to each other, reaching out to our neighbors, having a good time, but staying separated and staying kind. That's the key here. Anyway, I got to tell you a story. Mother and I got in our car, got in the truck, and we decided we were going to go visit some foreign land. We were going to go to Calais, Maine. All excited, Mother says, I want to go down to Calais. I haven't been to the coast for a while, so we got on that Route 9. Used to be called the airline. That was an exciting ride back in the day. It was all humpy and curvy. Then DOT got involved, the Department of Transportation. They smoothed it out, straightened her out. Now it's not a thrill ride. It used to be called the airline because you got airborne 4 or 5 times between Brewer, Maine, and Calais. Now it's just a straight shot. Well, we whistled down there in no time at all. We come whistling into Calais, and as we did, we saw a big sign. All gold lame, wicked, smart-looking sign, big shocker of a sign that said, Welcome to Calais. I said, look at that, Mother. We're in Calais already. She goes, don't be such a numbie. It ain't Calais. It's Calais, you moron. I said, well, geez, Mother, I don't think so. It might be Calais on the other side of the pond, but over here, it's Calais. Oh, no, she said. We argued all the way into town. We finally get into the center of town. And I pulled over to the side of the road because I saw a local fella strolling along the sidewalk. I pulled right over next to him, put my window down on the truck, waved him over to the truck, and I said, excuse me, my wife and I are having an argument about where we are. Could you come over here and just say it real slow so she'll understand it? Sure, he says. So he come over and he leaned in the window of the truck, looked right at Mother, and he goes, Dunkin' Donuts. Well, you got to ask the right questions. We've gone over this before. Take care of each other out there. Yeah. Welcome to day 12 of Tales from West Gardner, Maine. It's still snowing. And you might notice them in the woods. Mother said 80 feet at the fire pit, 1.5. She said, you got to go deeper in the woods. Here I am. I don't know what I'm going to do to camp out for the evening. I hope it don't snow all night. Anyway, we're taking care of each other. I hope you are. I'm sure you are. You're in Maine, taking care of other Mainers. Anyway, I got to tell you a quick story about Mother and I. We took a trip to Ireland, went to Dublin, had a good time. If you've never been to Ireland, when this thing all gets over, you got to do it. Ireland's one heck of a nice place. The Emerald Isle. We had a great time. Mother went shopping, and I spent my time in the pubs. Yeah, had a great time. I was in there one day. Something weird happened. A fella from Texas come in, and big strapping fella, stood right in the middle of the pub, didn't make a sound, put his hands on his hips, stared everybody down till nobody was talking. Then he said, I know you fellas there in Ireland think you're heavy drinkers. I've read about it. I'll tell you right now, I'm from Texas. I can outdrink anybody in the place. I'll make a bet. I got 500 American dollars. I'll put it right on the bar. If there's any man here that can drink 10 pints of Guinness without stopping, that's their money. If they can't do it, or they spill any, they got to pay me $500. Everybody kind of talked about it. Geez, 10 pints of Guinness, get $500. That's a pretty good deal. Well, but geez, that's a lot of beer all at once. Guess not. So they all kind of sat back, went doing what they're doing. All of a sudden, this one little guy jumps off a stool, runs out of the bar. Half an hour later, he comes right back in, walks over to the Texan who was sitting there having a drink, tapped him on the knee, couldn't reach any higher. He goes, is the bet still on? You know the idea of drinking 10 pints of Guinness all at once? The Texan looked him up and down and said, are you kidding? You're a little runt. You think you can drink 10 pints of Guinness without stopping? Little fellow says, I know I can, all excited. Well, the Texan put the 10 pints of Guinness on the bar, put $500 in. He said, you drink all 10 pints without spilling a drop. That money's yours. The little fellow marched right along, fired him down one right after another. All 10 gone. Grabs the money, starts out of the pub. Texan caught up with him at the door and he said, hey, that was impressive. I couldn't even do that. And it's your money. But I got to ask you one question. Where did you go when you left the pub for half an hour? Little fella kind of shifted his feet. He said, well, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't sure I could do it. I went next door and practiced. That's twisting the knife there. Take care of each other. Yeah? Welcome to day 13 of Tales from West Gardner, Maine. I'm here sitting down to a fresh pancake Mother just made. Yeah? Got my coffee cup from the USS Boston. I got some maple syrup to go on that, on that pancake, made by Mert Durnley, my classmate from Monmouth Academy in 1966. Mert, pretty smart, went to University of Maine, studied mathematics. But he had his moments. In the 5th grade, he was sitting in the front row. Teacher was going on and on about polynomial this and that, and Mert wasn't getting it. He had that glazed look in his eye. If you ever meet Mert, you'll recognize it. Anyway, teacher said, Mert, you ain't getting the math, are you? And he said, no, I'm not. No? He says, well, what can I do to help you understand it? Well, what if I made it applied? Put it into context of something you do every day. Would that help? He said, yeah, it would, yeah. Well, what do you do every day? Well, right now we're cutting and selling firewood to house. Oh, good, I got a firewood example. Let's say firewood was $10 a cord, you buy $40 worth of firewood. How much firewood you got? Mert thought for a minute. He said, you got 3.5 cord. Teacher said, no, that's not right. He said, I know it's not right, but they all do it. Yeah, there you have it. Hey, be kind to each other. Support each other. We all need it, yeah? Welcome to day 14 of Tales from West Gardner, Maine. My friend John Marsh just left. We didn't have any contact. He left a bag of cooked, fresh Maine crab just caught off the coast of Maine. We're having a decent time here, but it got me to thinking. You know, I've always thought, and I don't want to disparage anybody else out there. You're all wonderful people, but I got to tell you, being a Mainer, I've always thought that Maine women make the best wives. And I'll tell you why. It's because no matter how bad things get, they've seen worse. And on top of that, they're wicked focused. I mean, when a Maine woman gets an idea in the head, get used to it. It ain't going anywhere. I'm just cracking these shells here. That Maine idea is sticking in her head, and she's going to make it happen. Now, I'll give you a good example. When my Uncle Willie was passing away, he was, this was a few years ago, he was quite ill. They had moved his bed into the room right next to the kitchen so his wife Emma could prepare his meals and take him easily right back and forth there without going up and downstairs. Well, anyway, Willie was laying there drawing maybe what could have been his last breath. And as he drew a breath, he smelled something emanating from the kitchen. He goes, Emma, what's that you cooking? She goes, it's an apple pie, Willie. Oh, he said, you know I love apple pie. Can I get just a little piece? And she says, no, it's for the wake. When a main woman gets an idea to hit, it's there forever.
Hello and thank you for being with us this morning. We are broadcasting live from our WCTV studio in Wareham. This is Good Morning Wareham, your source for local news, weather, and more information. And now for a moment in history. Let's take a look at where we were today in history. This day in 1846, the Smithsonian Institution was created. President James Polk signs the Smithsonian Institution Act into law after a decade of debate of how to best spend a bequest left to America by an English scientist, James Smithson. Today, the museum is a library and a program of research, publications, and collections in the sciences, arts, and history. Also, today in history, in 1984, the first PG-13 movie is released. Red Dawn, starring Patrick Swayze, opens in theaters as the first movie produced with a PG-13 rating. The movie rating system was established in 1968 by the Motion Picture Association of America. And also today in history, in 1776, London learns of American independence. And as usual, we always celebrate birthdays. So for today's birthday shout out, it goes to Antonio Banderas. He is a Spanish actor, film producer, and director. He was born today in 1960 in Spain. He turns 59 years young today. He's well known for films such as The Skin I Live In, Pain and Glory, The Mask of Zorro, and many more. And happy birthday to everybody else celebrating their big day today. That is all I have for today in History segment. To learn more cool historical facts, you can go online under history.com. Stay with us. The coffee segment is next.
You've always protected me.
Whoa. And I still need you. Prescription pain pills, heroin, kids are getting addicted.
Can you still protect me?
Kids who talk with their parents about opioids are less likely to misuse them. Find out what you can say.
Good morning. And we're going to go to our coffee segment. So this morning we're going to air the interview with the superintendent, Dr. Kimberly Sheverhood, discussing the school reopening this fall. School in Massachusetts are scheduled to return in the fall, but what would that picture look like? With me is the superintendent of Wareham Public Schools, Dr. Kimberly Sheverhood, to talk about school reopening and what that would mean for your child. Stay tuned. let's start with how these last few weeks have been for you.
Well, I think I'd really take you back to March 13th, because when we received the message that schools were closing for a period of time, what we now know of how education operated, it has changed dramatically. At that point, we went remote. I am so grateful and complimentary of the job that our faculty and staff did, and of our students, and of course of the parents, because everybody pitched in. It was not a great situation, but they made the very best of it. And as we progressed through the summer, the Department of Secondary and Elementary Education would release different guidelines, would let us know this is what's coming. And so we have had the opportunity to work on a number of plans. The way we approached it in Wareham, we formed a district committee that was more of an umbrella committee. And then from there, the principals formed their building level committees. They involved parents, teachers, paraprofessional, we had custodians, we had clerical. So we had everybody, food service, everybody that worked in our buildings or participated in Wareham schools involved as representative. They developed 3 plans. One is remote, one is hybrid, and one is face-to-face. And as we've progressed, you know, the plans started developing. There's some commonalities in each of the plans, and then there's some unique features depending on the schools. We also have been looking at transportation and how that's going to go. And we have our counselors and social workers working, because we know that social emotional aspect, when our students come back, we're going to have to spend some time on it, because really it's been quite a disruption. And for people to deal with disruption, you know, at times there's a process. How we operate schools, if we come back, you know, even at a hybrid model, there's protocols, procedures that must be in place. So I guess to summarize, we've had events that have occurred that have never occurred before in education, so we have done our very best to deal with them, and we continue to deal.
Well, as you mentioned, the Department of Secondary and Elementary Education did provide 3 options to evaluate whether to open fully in person, whether to do a hybrid approach, or to reverse back into fully virtual learning, kids at home, teachers are also teaching from home. So the deadline of that proposal is this week. On Thursday, you are to submit what would work, or what you see would be the best approach here in Wareham. What have you voted on?
Well, we've had a number of workshops where the principals have presented their plans to the school committee. Our special education department has also submitted the plans and spoken with the school committee about them. So on Thursday night, the school committee will then vote for what they believe will be our plan that in turn I will submit to the Department of Education.
It seems like the school committee is looking or favoring the hybrid approach. Do we have details to what that would look like?
Sure. Well, first of all, I need to say anything that we do, the safety of our students and our staff, that's our number 1 priority. That speaks volumes. That's our highest, that's what we are building everything around. We would really like to have our students back face to face. I'm not sure at this point that is the safest thing for us to do. We also know that at any given moment this year, we could be shut down and go remote. if we do go remote, it's going to look quite different than it did from the spring. So we need to spend a period of time at the beginning of school working with our staff on different learning platforms, on how we're going to deliver curriculum, and how we're going to move forward, how we're going to engage students. The other piece that we need to spend some time doing is working with our students and our staffs on various protocols. Mask wearing, how do we enter and exit the buildings? How do we enter and exit the buses? What do we do if a person is sick? And how we just respond, because we've never had to respond in this manner. So we need to make sure that everybody is on the same page, that we've gone through everything that we can possibly think of just to make sure that we do our very best to keep people safe.
Okay. So that hybrid approach, what are you proposing? What kids will be coming in and who are going to be staying home, and for how long?
Well, so one of the pieces that we're in negotiations with our unions would be, when would we start the hybrid approach? We're going to start at this point in a remote setting. The Department of Education has lowered the number of student days to 170. So that means when we start school, I think it's August 26th with staff, we have days built into the calendar for professional development, 2 days. We then are going to extend another 10 days where we will be working with staff on platforms, on learning platforms, on getting rooms ready, etc. Because one of the things that DESE has required, everything in a classroom needs to come out except desk and chairs, and maybe a few pieces of material, items that kids would work with. Everything else needs to be out. So that's something that's going to have to occur once school starts, because you know how teachers bring in their own supplies at times and things to make their classroom attractive. That's going. So when we start, we're going to bring kids in a very small group. What we would like to do is students will be divided into 2 groups, cohort 1 and cohort 2. We would like to keep families in the same cohort. So if you have children at the high school, the middle school, and maybe Deaconess, they're all going at the same time. We don't want you 2 days to go one building and then another group of children go at a different time. We think, while this is not convenient for families, and I understand that, this would be less disruptive. So students will be divided into 2 groups. Right now, our proposal would be for cohort 1 to go on Monday and Tuesday. Cohort 2 would go Thursday and Friday. Wednesday is a deep clean day because we're changing groups, and then we'll start the deep clean on Friday after school's out for the following Monday. At a certain point, then, when students are not at school, then they're remote learning. So lessons will just continue during the 3 days they're home.
Wow. What is busing going to look like with this plan?
Well, that's certainly going to be a challenge for us because we have limited buses and we have limited drivers. Trying to find enough bus drivers in the state of Massachusetts is very challenging. We have guidelines that we have to abide by, and buses are approximately a third full. So we are right now in the process of the people that signed up, we're placing them on bus routes. What needs to happen next, after the school committee would vote, if they accept the remote, then we're going to have to develop the cohorts very quickly, because that will impact busing on who's going to ride on Monday and Tuesday, who's going to ride on Thursday and Friday.
Now, let's say we open, we get to the hybrid approach, and then one of our students has tested positive of coronavirus or a family member at home. What is the protocol?
So one of the things that will happen every day, anybody that sets foot in our building, we're going to know where they've been, who they've come in contact with, and because we'll have to make notification for contact tracing to occur. If there are people that are determined to be within the given distance and the time length of exposure, they will be notified and they will be quarantined.
So they come in, they get a piece of paper with some questionnaires of what their last 24 hours looked like?
No, we can't do that.
Yes.
But what we would do is when somebody comes in the building, we're going to know what exactly their schedule is. And because everything, there's not going to be really a time when students can just wander through the halls. There's never that time anyway. But even in passing periods, everything is going to be very controlled. So we do our due diligence in keeping people as safe as possible. If we serve lunch at school, it will be in a classroom. There's no more socializing in the cafeteria or wandering outside with friends during lunchtime. Everything is just really going to be contained. At this point, we also do not really want people in the building other than students and staff. In the past, we've welcomed volunteers. This year, that's going to be very difficult for us just because we want to contain as a limit on contact.
Now, is the state, to your knowledge, working, the Department of Education, are they working towards, once again, if that a case present itself, what you as an administrator can do in your district?
Well, it's really kind of interesting because the state's giving all of these guidelines, and not that they're attaching strings to it, but we've also been told that likely there may be money coming from the federal government, but if you're remote, your chances of getting that money are not great. You have a much better chance of receiving that money is if you are either hybrid or face-to-face. So they have it. So while everything's suggestions, we try to follow suggestions.
Isn't that backwards? Don't you need that money right now in order to assure the hybrid or a full in-person reopening?
I do. Actually, it would be virtually impossible for us to do a full opening face-to-face for several very important reasons. The first being, I do not have enough staff to do that and meet the guidelines of both the CDC and the state. I would need 156 more employees, which would translate to about $9 million. I then would need approximately 30 more classrooms. And then I would have to buy technology. I would have to outfit those classrooms with supplies, et cetera, meaning like desks and chairs. And, people might say, well, you have all of that. Well, we do have it, but in many of our classrooms, we have tables. And at a table, you can only have one person unless it is a very large table, because at the elementaries, we have people distanced 6 feet apart. At the high school, we have them about 3 to 4 feet apart, just because we can't do any more at that point. So we would still have to buy furniture because we don't have enough desks and chairs to make it work. So we really can't go face-to-face right now without doing some kind of a hybrid model. We just don't have the facilities, nor do we have the employees or the money.
You mentioned masks. You mentioned keeping being socially distant. How are teachers? How are they going to reinforce this? I'm looking at elementary school kids, and what resources are there for the administrators in these classrooms?
Well, the state has sent out a list of PPE items that we should have. So we've been making purchases all along. And as far as masks, we're making some purchases of masks that we will have available for people to wear. In the elementary grades 2 and up, they need to have a mask on unless they're 6 feet away. On the bus transportation, they have to have a mask on during transportation. And so that's one of the pieces that we really need to work with students on, is mask protocol and why it's very important to wear mask. In the high school and middle school, it's non-negotiable. You have to have a mask on. And so we need to make sure that everybody understands the importance, why we need to have it done, and it's as much about your safety as it is your peers' or your friend's safety.
Now, that sounds so easy, but we know in practicality it's not so. I'm thinking at little things such as either if it is an issue of bullying or an issue of cell phones in the classroom, and sometimes parents and teachers are not on the same page. Parents demand something, teachers are trying to enforce the policy, they're not on the same page. Yep. So when it comes to this, especially when it comes to masks, still there is a group within our society who do not believe that they protect us, that they are a necessity. So how are you prepared when you have a parent who doesn't feel that their child should wear a mask all the time, or they don't really see the point?
Right, I understand that. And if there's a medical reason why a child should not wear a mask, we just need the medical documentation. If you cannot provide the medical documentation, I appreciate your point of view, but if your child is going to attend our school, they will have a mask on. If your child chooses not to wear a mask, we are offering remote learning, and your child will be invited to attend remote learning, but they will wear a mask at school.
I love this. You got to do what you need to do.
You do, and I think, and the other piece is, that's one of the conversations we're going to have with teachers, because, even as a parent, there's sometimes I really, really wanted to say to my child, okay, just this one time. And it would always come back to haunt me, because you just can't make exceptions about certain things. That's what I need our staff to understand and follow, because there might be some poor student that is just really struggling and needs to take that mask off, but you just can't do it, because it has to be consistent. Because any time that we're not consistent, that opens the door and makes it difficult the next time or for the next student. And students see when exceptions are made, and this is one time they just can't be.
So the district, did you guys eventually send out those surveys to parents to get their feedback? And what was the results of those surveys?
Yes, we did send out some surveys. Surprisingly, it's neck and neck between hybrid and remote. There's a small percentage difference with people wanting their child to be in a hybrid situation, and in third place is face-to-face, and that was in the 20%. There's going to be another survey going out shortly, and we're going to ask, are you enrolling your child in a remote setting? Because we need to know who's not coming back because you don't feel comfortable sending your child to school. That's fine. As a parent, that's your right. We just need to know that so we can program to work with your child, because we will be offering a remote setting.
So what if the majority of the parents prefer remote setting? Do you need to maintain a certain amount of numbers of kids in order to go with the hybrid approach?
No.
No.
And I think that what I do need to know is how many are going to go with the remote and how many are going to go with the hybrid, because we certainly need to program. And in the elementary, it's a little bit more easy because I don't need content-specific classroom teachers. But in the high school or middle school, I need to know what teachers are going to be working remotely, because I need to make sure I have an English, a math, science, etc. teacher that has that ability to work remotely so the students get their academics.
What do the teachers prefer?
I think it's a real mixed bag. I've heard from some teachers that are scared to death to come back, and I understand. There are family situations, there are health situations. I understand. There are other people that, once things are put into place and there are protocols in place and they're followed, they're ready to come back. So I just think that it's a very mixed bag. I also know that our MTA, the teachers organization, is certainly speaking out against returning to school statewide, not in Wareham, but just statewide. There's some very strong statements being made. My job is to make sure that our buildings and are as safe as they can possibly be, and we've put everything in place that we can make happen, and that's what we're doing. I need staff to follow up and make sure that we follow all our protocols, etc. And I need students to do their part. And as long as we're working collaboratively together, then we stand a much better chance of keeping everyone safe. At some point, if the numbers start to escalate, then a decision will have to be made if we're going to shut down and do full remote, or let's hope the other way, our numbers dissipate. Maybe at some point we can get everybody back. That's our ultimate goal.
Melissa Fay, the Director of Student Services, she is leading or working with a task force, being tasked at searching for research-based decisions to help students who are likely to be more severely impacted by a lack of face-to-face learning. What are some findings they have found? What are some solutions, and are they feasible?
Right. Well, we do know that there are some students that we really, really, really want to get back right now, 100% of the time. And we're going to be working with our teachers and with the parents to bring our students that are the high-need students back. We know that as long as we have very small groups and we have our protocols in place, then we feel like we can bring students back. There are some students that need to come back, but not maybe 4 days a week, maybe 3 days a week. And really in that area with our special needs students, we're looking at what's best for that student and what will work best in coming back to school.
And do you think the budget will allow for you guys to make those special accommodations? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And also, Bethany Chandler, the principal of Dacus Elementary School, did voice that remote learning has its challenges, especially for the youngest students. She explained that for young children with parents at home during the day, without parents at home during the day, this could be very challenging. These kids could be under the guardianship of maybe an elder sibling, or this is going to put parents in a very tough situation. So given this, how do we reconcile? What is a compromise maybe?
Yeah. I'm not sure there's any easy solution for that one. I know I've been contacted by parents who really don't know what to do. They depend on us to work with their child during the day while they're working. And now that we're not or may not be back in school, what kind of child care is available? I understand. I really do. But I also know that our job is to educate. And I cannot safely educate students and staff without certain parameters and conditions. We've reached out to the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, to look at if there's any options that they could help us at. And it's certainly a dilemma at this point.
Now, you've been an educator for a very long time. You have battled with our own challenges here in Wareham in regards to budgets, and you've tried to make it work. And now the COVID-19 coronavirus came and added more challenges. I'm wondering if there's any time in your career where you can look back and said, it was tough to be an educator, to be in this industry as it is now.
No. There has never been a time like this. There's always been challenges in education, but the challenges that we faced in education before Corona had been faced by others. And so there were kind of pathways and answers or guidelines that you could seek out. There's nothing that even compares to this that anyone in education can look for. I think the thing that has kept everybody in Wareham going is we've been in it together, we're working collectively, we have the best interest of students and staff at heart, and we're doing the very best we can. You know, summertime, believe it or not, in the world of education is one of the busiest times of the year because we're getting ready for a new school year. We have all of the nitty-gritty going on, the scheduling, the preparation, the ordering, etc. We have never had a time that has been busier than this past summer. Very little vacations, no vacations have been taken. There's no time off. It's working 7 days a week to make this work. And I have to tell you, I'm getting a little panicked because that drop-dead window of school starting is approaching and there's so much to do. So we're going to make it. We will be ready, but it certainly is a different time.
You're setting precedents.
We are. And I hope that there's no other generation that needs to experience what we've had to experience recently. I hope they never have to do this again.
What type of grading system would we adopt coming fall?
Right. There will be a grading system. There is accountability. You know, when we went out in March, we had covered the majority of the standards up to that point because we're getting ready for the MCAS testing. You know, the end of the year's coming. It was time that we approached certain things. This is a whole different way to look at it because everything is new. There are new standards, there's new skills that have to be learned. So there is accountability that's going to happen. There will be grading and assessments. It's different.
And to conclude, of course, we have a big event this Friday, graduation. Tell me, how important was this to give these kids some type of an in-person graduation to end and to commemorate their hard work?
Well, you know, I think that if you look at in education, it's so traditional. There are so many traditions that we have in education. Your first day of school. I mean, how many of us take pictures of our children as they're getting ready? Their last day of school. They're moving from kindergarten to first grade. They're going into high school. And then finally, their senior year. It's just steeped with traditions. There's honor night, there's senior week, there's the prom. And our students missed that. But they've received a lot of kindness as well. And probably one of their biggest cheerleaders is their principal, Mr. Palladino. And Mr. Palladino said from the get-go, these kids are going to have a graduation. I mean, he held tight to that. I'd say, Scott, are you really sure? Kim, they're going to have it. I know they're going to have it. You know, and so I'm so happy that we're able to give this to them. Not only to the students, but to their parents and to their family and relatives. It's the least we can do for the type of ending they had in their career.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of the least we can do, of course, the state is seeing a recent uptick, and Governor Baker has warned, I wouldn't say threatened, but he has warned, if he sees these trends going up, he is going to revert back the guidelines. He's going to limit the amount of people we could congregate at one particular place at one time. How nervous are you, given what is about to transpire on Friday?
Yes, I will tell you, I look at those numbers every day, and I'm holding my breath. I will tell you, we will make it work somehow. It could be a drive-by. It could be something different. But come Friday, those students are going to receive their diplomas.
Do you have anything to add?
No. This is brand new to us. I know that the decision that will be made, everyone will not be in agreement. There will be people who will not agree, and there will be people who do agree. Just know that we're working with what we have in the best interest that we can, and we just need everybody working together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To our viewers, thank you so much for joining us for this particular interview. My guest is the Superintendent of Wareham Public Schools, Dr. Kimberly Sheverhood, to talk about this fall, what it's going to look like and what that will mean for your child. For more information, comments, I'm sure she'll be more than happy to hear from you. With that, I wish you all a wonderful day. Bye.
Today's cell phones are not only an extension of our arms, but a life tool. Hello, I am Maureen Farrington from Advantage Custom Apps. I am here today to talk about a certain app, a tool that will help you navigate your way through the Wareham community. The WCTV app places your local community in the palm of your hand. The app is a place where you will find local events, town meetings, local and school sports, community interest stories, compelling interviews, and most of all, the ability to shop local. Connect to the Wareham app by going to your web browser and typing in wctv.app. And then, once you bring up the web link, you have the opportunity of adding WCTV's app to your home screen. Once you download the app and save it to your home screen, you will then have the opportunity to, with the touch of a finger, hit the call button, which we call WCTV. The refer us button, you can refer the app to your friends and families. There's a Facebook share button if you'd like to put that on your Facebook page as well. And here is the menu tab. On the menu tab, we have YouTube videos, new program proposal, events that WCTV is hosting, a photo gallery, contact button, and can lead you right to their website. We also have a Shop Local tab. When you touch on that, you'll see the local businesses that you can frequent. Also, there's an About Us tab telling you some information about WCTV, their hours and directions. This here will take you right to their Facebook page. There is a donate button if you would like to donate to WCTV, and a join button that will let you join their community. Many local establishments are listing their business on the WCTV app. And you can too. It's a great way to showcase your business to your existing customers and your potential new ones. For a nominal fee, you could list your business on the Shop Local tab as well. A percentage of that fee goes to fund a scholarship for an outgoing senior. So be in the now and get the WCTV app on your home screen.
I'm not like the busy type. I don't go out a lot.
Yeah.
I like to stay home and be outside.
Meet Nathan Tobin, a YouTuber.
Hey guys, it's me Nathan. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use the P38 can opener. Today I'm going to be doing a review on this tea light candle stove. Today I'm going to be showing you my EDC. This is my army belt that I made from things I found from different stores. Today I'm going to be showing you a credit card molder tool.
WCTV visited Nathan at his home in Rochester and went behind the scenes.
Today I'm going to be showing you how to use a striker. This is a striker that has a whistle on it on the back. It has a compass, and it's just your standard striker.
So where would you take this knowledge? Where would you use this knowledge?
Say you're in the woods and you have a bug out bag and you have one of these in there instead of matches, and you have some cotton balls or lint, you can use this to start a fire.
So you have taught people so far how to use a striker to make a fire.
Yep.
What other topics have you covered?
I've taught people how to use a P38 can opener.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's what the military uses to open cans.
Nice.
I've taught people how to use a little folding stove that you can bring backpacking or camping. I've showed people my EDC.
What is EDC?
Your everyday carry.
So you will probably be the best person to survive with.
Probably.
At age 5, Nathan was drawn to nature survival tutorials on YouTube, a passion that went along with his love for the outdoors. He started his YouTube channel about a month ago, and already he has more than 100 subscribers. So for those who have been watching and learning along with you, what do you want to say to them?
Thank you for the support they've given me and everything. They've encouraged me to keep on going.
Yeah. So before you plan your next camping trip, maybe you would like to stop by at Nate T on YouTube to learn some simple tricks that would make your experience more comfortable.
And there you have your fire. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye now.
Good morning. Hello, can you hear me? Apologies. With that, thank you for being with us this morning for Good Morning Wareham episode. We'll be back on Monday with more. My hopes is we'll air the interview that is supposed to take place today with the school union committee, Wareham Teachers Union Committee. So we'll be talking about their plan to reopening and what they think of the entire matter. If you missed us this morning, this show will air this evening at 6 p.m. and will also go on our YouTube channel at Wareham Community Television on YouTube. So I wish you all a lovely week until Friday. Have a lovely day. Bye.